guys explain those Badlands? That's a hell of a name.
Okay.
Well, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the Daily Herold here on Badlands Media. I'm your host, Jon Herold, and boy, oh boy, are things popping off in the election integrity-related movement. That was a weird mumble and word I just said. This is exciting stuff, guys. It feels like we turned a corner or something. Like there's been a shift in the timeline, and it feels palpable. I don't know if you guys watched last night's Power Hour. We had CanCon back on and talked about some things, and just more people are discussing. I got a great John Solomon clip we'll play. Really kind of hit on some of the things we discussed last night. CanCon, I think, is also going on. Grant Stitchfield. I can call him Stinchfield again because he's no longer being a bitchfield. And it's proof that it works, guys. Grant Stinchfield, he took our work. He didn't credit us. Kind of claimed it as his own. We mocked him and shamed him online, and now CanCon is going on there, and supposedly Trump is going to be going on Real America's Voice shortly after tonight. So interesting stuff indeed. But yeah, we'll talk about all that. We got some more shutdown news, like a new shutdown, partial shutdown, because of the demands of the Chuck Schumer and Jeffries. We'll see what you guys want to talk about. Should I start? I have to say I'm very nervous and don't want to stand on the rug about election stuff. I'm excited, but I'm nervous. Yeah, this is a different one though. Like this is the rug we've all been waiting for, probably longer than anything. I guess maybe the Durham and like the Russiagate type stuff, that rug predated the election rug, but this one just feels different. I mean, the election of 2020 was the basis for the Devolution series. And everything since, and it's like here we're finally like talking about it again. It's in the zeitgeist. That's just real exciting stuff. Richard report: John CanCon needs to reduce his weed consumption. I'm never going to tell him to reduce anything. Will Trump say he thought Patel Patriot was Kash Patel on Stinkfield? Yeah, I don't know. Doubt it. It is weird though, because like while this election stuff is going on, it seems like a lot of people online on social media, and I know Twitter is not a great representation of, society as a whole, but people are like pissed off. Like it's just there's a weird energy there on Twitter while there's a good energy around the election stuff. Does that make sense? The markets are going down. Crypto, Bitcoin is way down. Everything's down. And yet it's like this is one of the more exciting times I think we've had since Trump's been back in office. We're getting some sort of movement. Phil Scarborough says, I would say we've crossed a line. We're in a new area, too far in to be a rug. Maybe that's a good way to describe it. Maybe this isn't rug. Maybe this is more carpeting than a rug. Hey, Rob, good for you, John. I wholeheartedly disagree. I guess I don't know what you mean. Okay, Rob, if they do to you, you hate it? Yeah, you're gonna have to clarify what you're talking about, because I know what you mean. I do not think it's okay for people to steal content. At least give a shout out or credit. And they agree because they're having CanCon on and they apologize, which is good stuff. CSUSB Geocam, good to see you, man, says, did the U.S. Supreme Court or the California Supreme Court rule in favor of California gerrymandering? Anyone? I think I'm going to talk about that today. I think I have a story about that. If this is a rug and it gets pulled out from under us, that would be a tough one to recover from for a lot of people. So we'll get into it all. The sponsors of today's show is River Bitcoin. With Bitcoin going down as much as it is, it's a buying opportunity, guys. but people are losing their minds. It's down to 66. Badlandsmedia.tv/river. $10 a month, throw it in there. It's going to be volatile. It's going to go up and down. But I don't think it's going to go down to zero, as some are trying to say it will be. A lot of people are trying to like tie it to like the claims that Epstein is created or controlled Bitcoin is silly. Just shows there's so much misinformation out there. Silver is at, let's see if this is updated, current $77. We got no update on the Doge website. 12 Indie Boy, good to see you, Ty. Ty's on vacation, he said. He met some other Badlanders. They're out skiing or something. And they've heard of Badlands Media and Patel Patriot. Love hearing those kind of stories. But he says, I'm so comfy on this election rug. Very optimistic today for some real justice. Also, new friend, optimistic about coming to Nashville GART. Can't wait. Hey, guys, you all got to come to Nashville GART. It's going to be a grand old time. Badlandsmedia.tv/events. Oh, and the Clintons want a live hearing. We'll probably talk about that too. If I forget anything, you guys just bring it up. I'll talk about whatever you guys wanted today. Lee Walden says, ahoy, John and fellow co-founders of Badlands Media is on the rise. Much appreciated, guys and girls, keeping it real. Gator Rob, what about the new silver rules of reporting? Do you know anything about that? I don't. I do not know. Looks like we have a COVID vax bot in here. Welcome to the show, bot. All right. Let's get to a couple stories. There's no update on the presidential website, but I think let's start with the John Solomon clip. He was on with Bannon this morning talking election fraud. It's a longer clip. Maybe I'll pause it as we go through it, but some exciting stuff. Let's see what he has to say. And remember, John Solomon, he's our boy. I think he's the one who's like the narrative setter. We've talked about this so many times. He worked with Kash Patel. They were both representatives to NARA while Biden was in office. And it's no surprise that he's been getting advance notice on all the big important things that are going on. And it's been noticeable that we have not gotten any like solid news or anything regarding the RICO stuff. And I believe it's because the election situation we see unfolding is connected to that. But let's take a listen.
We're told by Chris Wray and other officials after the 2020 election, we had a perfect election. There were no major foreign intrusions or foreign attempted intrusions in the 2020 election. I pretty quickly debunked that about a year later when I reported that Iran actually had hacked into a battleground state's registration system and downloaded more than 100,000 identities and was using them. Eventually, 2 guys got indicted in Manhattan. That's a really significant intrusion. That was not what Chris Wray told us. Then we learned from Kash Patel a couple of months ago that China was sending driver's licenses into the United States in 2020 in hopes that they could be used to create fake ballot registrations. That is a second really significant intrusion. Both of those are run contrary to what Chris Wray and other Homeland Security officials gave us as statements during the time. I believe that the President of the United States is soon going to be briefed by Tulsi Gabbard and other intelligence officials based on my reporting about additional intrusions, significant large-scale intrusions into various forms of our election system. Now, I'm not talking about getting a machine and flipping the vote, but maybe getting enough of state voter databases that a foreign power could work with people on the ground in the United States to fill out fake registrations for people who are on dirty voter rolls. Those licenses that were sent into Chicago were going to be used to make absentee ballot applications, according to the FBI predicate. By the way, Chris Wray's FBI didn't look at that. They shut it down.
Let's pause it here. He said something that was fairly interesting. He said POTUS is soon going to be briefed on the election stuff, and I'm assuming that's from Tulsi Gabbard. Now, it's come out recently that Tulsi's been the one kind of tasked with investigating the election stuff. The mainstream media is panicking. She shows up down in Fulton County. We've had a week worth of basically hit pieces against her, and they're continuing with that today. We'll talk about a few stories of the whole DNI and the inspector general and the accusations and whatnot. We'll get into that a little bit, but it sounds like President Trump is going to be briefed soon. So does that mean she is done with her reporting? Did they get to the bottom of what they were trying to do, and that's why the Fulton County thing took off? they're trying to tell us and paint the picture that what's happening in Fulton County is separate from what Tulsi Gabbard's been working on, even though it feels connected. Like her being there makes it feel connected. But even so, they are trying to tell us that, she has been looking into the machines and those vulnerabilities and, any foreign malign influence and what's going on in Fulton County. That's about the ballots. That's stemmed from something else. That's stemmed from what CanCon's been talking about. The people in Georgia on the ground just repeatedly and relentlessly trying to get to the bottom of what actually happened in 2020. And that makes it almost more interesting to me, is there being these two separate things that are still obviously connected, because you need the mail-in ballots and the physical ballots to backfill whatever you do with the machines, however that interference is done. But Trump getting briefed today, that's notable.
If a foreign power was that far into the election databases of state systems that they could figure out what driver's licenses to send here, the next question becomes, who were they working with on the ground? Who was going to file those ballot requests? I think that's why Tulsi Gabbard was down in Georgia, why you might see her in Arizona, why the FBI will probably be in Arizona, and why the president's about to get a briefing. And all of this new information could have a profound effect on the Save America Act, which is, all right, some people say it feels like we're doing an awful lot. There's not a real problem. These next revelations, if the president were to declassify them after he gets debriefed on them in the next few days, they could educate senators and House members and give them a greater inspiration to maybe go ahead and do the voter ID and the citizenship check. That is a big moment. Tulsi Gabbard and Kash Patel and Pam Bondi are driving this. It's been below the radar, but they're doing some really big stuff. Now the president's going to find out what it is. And then at that point, the opportunity to declassify it. Let's see what it is. There's one other element to this. If government officials lied to us after the 2020 election, there's still an opportunity in some of those cases to pursue criminal cases against them. We'll see where it all comes out, but that's what's going on in the background of the Save America Act debate right now.
Jon, if you were in studio.
Before we continue, do you guys really think and believe that Trump doesn't know and hasn't been made aware of what's really going on with our election machines? And the part where he says government officials lied to us, that really kind of perked my ears a little bit. I don't know, this is just exciting stuff. But he seems to be letting on that he kind of knows what's coming, what's in the reporting, and I believe that. And I think he believes it's going to be declassified too, which is interesting. I'm like jonesing for some more declassified documents, guys. It's been painful. We haven't had much since Charlie Kirk was assassinated.
Right now, I would hug you. You just kind of hit rewind. Hit rewind for 1 minute. As you remember,
sure,
better than anybody, we spent, I think, half of 2021 in the great state of Arizona on this issue. And I know the Arizona Patriots. Just give me a 1 minute summary. When you said the word Arizona, and we're already in Georgia, just give me the 1 minute summary of Arizona, because I know there's so many War Room posse members from the great state of Arizona have been waiting for something to say, hey, what we did, we're not wasting our time. This is actually being reviewed by senior authority. What do you got again?
Yeah, again, I don't think election machines are flipping ballot counts and things like that. I think that the actual way that the elections were administered were in violation of state law. And this is very important. The laws that the Democratic Party created during the Civil Rights Movement and the Great Voting Rights Act movement of the 1960s, something that all Americans are proud of, they still apply today. And those laws say you must, if you're an election administrator, conduct the election consistent with your state rules so that everybody has equal protection in your state. If Georgia and Arizona didn't do that, if Fulton County and Maricopa County did things that were in violation of state law that created an unfair or unequal election, they can be prosecuted under the Voting Rights Act and other civil liberty laws for that. I think that's where it's going, that you can't just change your state procedures in violation of your law because that's what you want to do during a pandemic. That could create criminal cases against election administrators. And I think that when you look at the search warrant that I got to see from Fulton County this past week, those are the laws that Kash Patel's team cited. State officials not following their law, therefore creating a fraudulent election. That's where those two states are being examined.
So there you have it, guys. What he said there about the manipulation of the machines it hits on something that we talked about last night. You know, we've been told this kind of fantastical story of foreign actors getting into our machines and like the PCAPs and stuff and like switching votes and all that stuff. This guy, John Solomon, who again, I think is kind of on the leading edge, though, one of the leading narrative setters when it comes to a lot of these things, and he's very well connected and knows what's coming. He paints more of a different picture that's not quite what it is. And if you go and read DNI Tulsi Gabbard's her letter and what she's been talking about in Trump's executive order 13848 and Trump's draft executive order from December of 2020, the one that he never signed, but it came out during the January 6th investigation. The machines are intentionally created, and a lot of them are owned by foreign entities. That's where the foreign aspect comes in part. But they're created with these vulnerabilities. Like they're intentionally designed so that manipulation can occur on the ground. And that's what they're looking into. And I think that's where we're going to get that foreign interference element. Like, was there coordination between people on the ground domestically and how these machines are designed in a foreign way in order to manipulate the votes and then backfill it with the mail-in ballots? It's just also exciting. So exciting. Let's see what you guys see. Liberty Lover, that is when you're at your best, and why I started following you is getting to go through classified documents with you. Yeah, that's when I feel at my best too, is when the documents come out and you get to start piecing the stuff together. So it's been kind of like at a lull. You know, my series was going back in time kind of and going through all the things that happened during the Trump administration. Then I like ran out of documents to look at. We haven't got any good ones ever since the summer of 2025. New case. In my honest opinion, Solomon is wrong about there not being digital flipping. Well, I'm not saying that that doesn't happen, because I think it does. I just think the story of like hackers hacking into the machines overseas and like manually flipping stuff, I think it's more of okay, these machines, all you need is like a USB drive, stick it in there and it'll like predetermine stuff, and then you just have to backfill it afterwards. I think it's a lot more simple than we have been made to believe by other people in the election integrity community. And it makes you wonder about those, like the ones that are selling that story. What's going on there? Is that intentional? Is it a distraction? Have they been hoodwinked, or are they the ones hoodwinking us? I don't know. These are questions like when we see whatever Trump is briefed on and it gets declassified, hopefully, and it comes out, when we finally get a chance to go through that and see what actually has been going on, I think that's going to answer a lot of questions. And some people are going to have to, I think they're going to have some things to answer for. Phil Scarborough, you should have Jovan on. This is the picture he's always painted, not machines getting hacked, but people using the machines and fake ballots to maladminister. It's a good point. I should talk to him. It's been a while. But there's a lot of weird like infighting amongst the election integrity movement. And I don't know why everybody's at odds with Jovan. There was digital flipping. We watched real-time election night. Yeah. The reporting aspect of it, though, I'm not as concerned about that. Like whatever the mainstream media news showed on the TV, I'm more concerned about like what's actually happening there on the ground level. Kinship Quest says ballot mules, dirty rolls, missing SD cards, pre-filled ballots, counting multiple times, dead voters. It's death by 1,000 cuts. But we'll see. I'm kind of speculating here too. Like we had this conversation last night, and it was like, maybe it's just maybe the people hacking the machines, that's more of a distraction and diversion than what's really been going on. And it makes it easy too. Like if let's say that's not true, maybe it is. I don't know. We're going to find out here hopefully pretty soon. So maybe I'm just getting ahead of myself. But if it does turn out that stuff isn't how it actually went down, and it was much more simplistic, and like the machines are intentionally designed with these flaws, like Trump said in that draft executive order, those things make us sound crazy sometimes. Some of the things that make us sound crazy, if they're true, it is what it is. Like, the I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I'm a conspiracy realist or whatever. But some of those things, when they don't turn out to be true, that's an issue. And maybe that's what those people were doing with that. I don't know. We'll find out soon. I'm just kind of talking on my ass right now. But I do want to show you guys. This is from Trump's draft executive order. Let me get to the right part here. I think it's... Yeah, there's multiple aspects of this that I think are important, but right here. I, Donald J. Trump, President of the United States, find that the forensic report of the Antrim County, Michigan voting machines released December 13th, 2020, and other evidence submitted to me in support of this order provide probable cause sufficient to require action under the authority cited above, which the authority cited above was NSPM 13 and the National Security Act of 1947. Oh, no, that was Executive Order 13961. Let me double check. Okay, yeah, the authorities are Executive Order 12333, 13848, National Security Presidential Memorandum 13 and 21, and the International Emergency Economic Powers Act. That's what he was going to use to sequester the machines. But anyway, okay, back to this. I hate how when you zoom in, it changes where you're at on the page. Like I'm trying to zoom into this part, so just don't move me up and down on my scrolling. Anyway, probable cause sufficient to require action under the authority cited above because of evidence of international and foreign interference in the November 3rd, 2020 election. Dominion voting systems and related companies are owned or heavily controlled and influenced by foreign agents, countries, and interests. The forensic report prepared by experts found that the Dominion voting system is intentionally and purposefully designed with inherent errors to create systemic fraud and influence elections. The system intentionally generates an enormously high number of ballot errors. The intentional errors lead to bulk adjudication of ballots with no oversight, no transparency, no audit trail. This leads to voter or election fraud. I'm missing a quote there. The report found the election management system to be wrought with unacceptable and unlawful vulnerabilities, including access to the internet, probable cause to find evidence of fraud, and numerous malicious actions. And here, there's also probable cause to find Dominion voting machines, Smartmatic, electronic systems and software, and Hart InterCivic, Clarity Election Night Reporting, Edison Research, Sequoia, Cital, and similar or related entities, agents, or signs have the same flaws and were subject to foreign interference in the 2020 election in the United States. There is probable cause to find these systems bear the same crucial code features and defects that allowed the same outside and foreign interference in our election, in which there's probable cause to find votes were in fact altered and manipulated contrary to the will of the voters. So I think it's much more about the defects in the machines that allow people to make those manipulations on the ground, but we'll find out. Just always thought that draft executive order was super notable. John in Connecticut says, for $10, John, you're the best. Salt or no? Got to see the whole John Ward salt vid I sent. Super funny. Where's that? Where'd you send that at? Spetzel. People are at odds with Jovan because he keeps saying he has stuff, but has never put out the reports to back up his claims. Yeah, that's annoying. But I know when I interviewed him a long time ago, he kind of said that like the timing of it was intentional. Remember? So maybe he hasn't put it out because he wasn't supposed to. SJ Levine 47 says, Ash said a while ago, it took Americans to let the fraud happen, even if foreign involved. That's a good point. Ramon 222, I promise you there was foreign interference in coordination with demons in the U.S. Yeah. The foreign interference aspect too, like it's always been such an important part to the devolution series because I believe that is a required element for Trump to have implemented something like devolution, like an act of war. Trump needed to interpret it as an act of war. So I'm not saying there isn't a foreign element. Like, don't get me wrong here. There was something considered to be an act of war, and I think it had to do with the election. We just don't know the form that it's going to be presented or the form that it took. That's been the part that's speculation on all of our parts. We think we know, but we won't really know until we see it. And that's just what's so exciting about right now. Like, it feels like we're on the cusp of maybe getting some insight and answers on some of these things. Some of the things we've been called crazy conspiracy theorists for. things you've been taken off social media for. PJ Corgan, John, you are the salt of the earth. Thanks, buddy. Ramon222, I'm a poll worker and have photo evidence that tabulators are connected to the internet. Yeah, it's so stupid that the enemy like went all in on like that's not true. Like it's been proven time and time again. But yeah, have you shared that with anybody? Anyway, we'll probably find out soon. You know, the briefing that she's getting or that Trump is getting from Tulsi and them. I'm just excited to see what comes of it. And excited to see the media freaking out over whatever results from it too. Because they're already freaking out. And it's just over the prospect of Tulsi being there and what she's doing. We haven't even gotten to the part where she shows people and tells people like what she found. Imagine the freak out with that. El Quady says, just waiting for the normies to change the goalposts again on the conspiracy. Yeah. They do often change the goalposts. Ramon222, John, yes, I shared it with Peter Berniger. That's good. You should also reach out to CanCon if you haven't. Anyway, any other thoughts on this election stuff? Otherwise, I have other topics we can probably get into. Apparently there's some weird back and forth about the Hillary Clinton interview with the Oversight Committee. Former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton on Thursday called for a public hearing in the House Oversight Committee's probe into late convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein, rather than sitting for a closed-door deposition after she and former President Bill Clinton agreed to testify. Like, that's exactly what we want, right? Like, is James Comer not going to do that? Comer has pushed back against a public hearing, saying the Clintons were subpoenaed for a sit-down deposition, not a hearing. The people want a public hearing. This is weird. This whole thing is weird. What is Comer doing? Like, I think Congress is illegitimate, and a lot of this stuff is just either grifting or distraction. But it kind of seems like the Clintons called their bluff. And Comer better freaking do the public hearing. That's what everybody wants to see. So weird. Comer's excuse says, here, the committee chairman told Newsmax on Wednesday that he planned to make the deposition video and transcript publicly available. Depositions are always the preferred means of getting information from a witness. Comer said, if you look at history, congressional hearings, they may be entertaining, but they're not very substantive. You go 5 minutes back and forth, members yelling and screaming at each other. Comer called this panel a very disruptive committee and said it has a rough set of characters on both sides of the aisle who might interfere with questioning the Clintons. So we're going to do the depositions, Comer said. That's what the subpoena is for. And after the depositions, if the Clintons want more, they're more than welcome to come to a House Oversight Committee. Stupid. Do both. I think a public hearing would be hilarious. The deposition doesn't have the 5-minute soundbite bullshit, says Bubba V. Bird. I mean, I understand what he's saying. I understand the logic, but just live. There you go, Ghost. Live stream the deposition. How about that? But it's true if it's live streamed. I mean, we're going to get the theatrics either way. I don't know. Also stupid. I would love to watch the left suck up to the Clintons. Dragon45, until I see some of these criminals in handcuffs, I don't care about any of it. I think that's the way a lot of us feel about it. Rocky Top apologist, public hearing would be super hilarious, especially if they throw chairs. Yeah. So we'll see what comes of it. Not holding my breath. So the Democrats, remember the last like week or so, especially the last couple of days, I've been talking about this whole shutdown. The government did shut down for like 4 days over the weekend. They voted on Monday or Tuesday to pass the funding bill. And when they passed it, they ended up separating out the DHS thing, and they were going to vote on that. They extended for 2 more weeks, and then they're going to vote on that separately. Well, now, as I've been saying, it was just from a purely strategic standpoint. If we're participating in the normie, mindset of what they're doing here, I understand it's a uniparty, but let's just pretend for a second that that's not true. Just strategically, it was really stupid of the red team to do this because the blue team does not want to pass anything beyond the 2 weeks. And now what we're getting after they did this, we're getting a demand list from the blue team. 10 demands having to do with extending the deadline. This is from, I think it's from Schumer and Jeffries. Yeah, Jeffries and Schumer. Dear Speaker Johnson and Leader Thune, we write with respect to fiscal year 2026 funding for the Department of Homeland Security. For months, the American people have watched in horror as U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement has terrorized communities across the country. After months of escalation against everyday Americans and law-abiding immigrant families, 2 U.S. citizens were killed in the streets of Minneapolis. Federal immigration agents cannot continue to cause chaos in our cities while using taxpayer money that should be used to make life more affordable for working families. And this is all political bullshit. The American people rightfully expect their elected representatives to take action to rein in ICE and ensure no more lives are lost. It is critical that we come together to impose common sense reforms and accountability measures that the American people are demanding. We believe Congress needs to enact the following guardrails. Coffee, 1 second. What do you guys say in the chat? Can do classified questioning in public, yet another classification trap. But yeah, let's talk about the demands here, because I don't think the red team can give into these, or Trump can't allow it. And maybe this is all leading for DHS getting shut down, which I'm in favor of. Move everything under the military, let military do the raids. But here's number 1. Targeted enforcement. DHS officers cannot enter private property without a judicial warrant. End indiscriminate arrests and improve warrant procedures and standards. Require verification that a person is not a U.S. citizen before holding them in immigration detention. So they're expecting like a warrant on every single person that we're supposed to be deporting. You know how long that would take? That would severely hamper the immigration process. No masks. Prohibit ICE and immigration enforcement agents from wearing face coverings. And this is one that's like, you've seen what the left has done, like putting target on ICE people and trying to hunt them down and stop them and all these things. Not allowing them to wear masks, allowing them to be ID'd. Yeah, that you can't do that. That's ridiculous. They can't agree to that. I can't imagine Trump would allow them to agree to that, which I think is the point of this. These demands are so outrageous that I ultimately think they're not going to pass the funding, which is exactly what they wanted the whole time, and why I said it was so stupid for the blue team or the red team to even allow the blue team to do it this way. So dumb. The next one, require ID, requires DHS officers conducting immigration enforcement to display their agency unique ID number and last name. Require them to verbalize their ID number and last name if asked. So they require ID for ICE agents, but they don't want to require ID for voting. That's how it's going to work? Because that seems a little retarded. Protect sensitive locations. Prohibit funds from being used to conduct enforcement near sensitive locations, including medical facilities, schools, childcare facilities, churches, polling places, courts, etc. So they're basically setting up safe zones. If you're an illegal alien, just go hang out by a hospital or school. Childcare facilities. Are they talking about the ones the Somalians run? Can't go into there anymore? This next one is probably the one I'm most upset about. Stop racial profiling. Prohibit DHS officers from conducting stops, questioning, and searches based on an individual's presence at certain locations, their job, their spoken language and accent, or their race and ethnicity. You guys, you can't expect us to stop racially profiling people. Like, that's kind of what makes us Americans. That's what we do. And it's Black History Month. Like, what you want us to stop racially profiling during Black History Month? This is a non-starter. And I know Cam and JB would agree with me. So stupid. Yes, that was mostly a joke, guys. For Media Matters, who's watching and going to clip that out and call me a racist, I'm joking. I have 2 black friends. So that proves I'm not racist. Number 6, uphold use of force standards. Place into law a reasonable use of force policy, expand training, and require certification of officers. In the case of an incident, the officer must be removed from the field until an investigation is conducted. Ensure state and local coordination and oversight. Preserve the ability of state and local jurisdictions to investigate and prosecute potential crimes and use of excessive force incidents. Require that evidence is preserved and shared with jurisdictions. Require the consent of states and localities to conduct large-scale operations outside of targeted immigration enforcement. Build safeguards into the system. Make clear that all buildings where people are detained must abide by the same basic detention standards that require immediate access to a person's attorney to prevent citizen arrests or detention. Allow states to sue DHS for violations of all requirements. Prohibit limitations on member visits to ICE facilities, regardless of how those facilities are funded. And body cameras for accountability, not tracking. Require use of body-worn cameras when interacting with public and mandate requirements for storage and access of footage. Prohibit tracking, creating, or maintaining databases of individuals participating in First Amendment activities. And then finally, no paramilitary police. Regulate and standardize the type of uniforms and equipment DHS officers carry during enforcement operations to bring them in line with civil enforcement. This is what they want. And then at the end here, they say, furthermore, there are steps the Trump admin has the power to take right now to show good faith, including fully ramping down the surge in Minnesota and removing Secretary of Homeland Security Kristi Noem from her position, which I don't think they should ramp down at all. I think they've already sent down 700 agents or something, sent home. I think it's because local authorities have started to kind of play ball. They bent the knee, even though some people are spinning as Trump bent the knee. But I could care less if Kristi Noem gets fired, if I'm being honest. Barbie ICE agent, don't really care. But this is where we're at. I can't imagine they're going to agree to this. And whatever this next shutdown is going to happen. That's how it's going to be. There are lots of white illegal people being deported by DHS. Good. If you're here illegally, you should be deported. Doesn't matter what race you are. Ghost says he's going to start racially profiling even more now. I can't imagine what that'd be like. I thought you were already at your limit. I thought you were maxed out, Ghost. R.R. Hody. That's what all racists say. It works, man. All you need is one black friend. You're no longer a racist. But here we are. This is the negotiation. These are the terms. And Senate Majority Leader John Thune is fuming, mad over this. Fuming over the demand. Senate Majority Leader Thursday fumed as Democrats demanded an expanded list of concessions on immigration enforcement to pass a funding bill for the Department of Homeland Security. I think I might have a clip of this even. Let me see if I can find it. I wonder if I just type in Thune fumes, if it'll pop up. Thune fumes. No. Let's try this. Thune demand list. I could have swore there was a clip. Hold for processing, guys, while I find this. No, well, never mind. Can't find it. Given up. He says it's totally unrealistic. The demand list went from 3 items to 10 items. He said, according to Fox News, it just shows they're not serious. There's a bunch of stuff in there that's a non-starter. He's probably talking about the racial profiling, and they know it. Maybe they had to put it in there to satisfy Move On or some of their left-wing special interest groups. Democrats on Wednesday released the 10-point list of demands. Senate previously approved a plan to pass 5 appropriations bills and a stopgap measure for the DHS package that would last until February 13th. President Trump signed that measure after the House approved it, though a partial shutdown still looms if the legislature does not approve a DHS budget by the new deadline. Partial shutdown. They make it sound so scary, don't they? Nobody cares. Babbage 3. Good to see you, Babbage. Says, congratulations to Badlands on reaching 12K subscribers on YouTube. It's exciting. It's funny. I was looking just the other day. We're still not monetized over there. But yeah, numbers are looking good. We're continuing to grow, which is most important. So if you're watching over on YouTube, come show us some love over here on Rumble. Give a like on all the platforms. Help us grow. We really appreciate that. Phil Scarborough, if the VE story op was a distraction, seems like Patrick and others would not like Tulsi, but they love her and always complimenting her. Pat also opening despises the CIA despite saying he worked for it. Yeah, but like, what's the thing we always say? Like, once the CIA, like, there's no such thing as former CIA. And like, he admitted to lying to you. Like, that's my issue with it. If somebody's admitting to lying, or if you catch them lying, like, you can't trust what they say again. Why would you? And so why are we giving them the benefit of the doubt? Like, if you want to continue to watch them and whatever and engage with their content, that's cool. But there's no reason to give those people the benefit of the doubt. Bama bitches, I'm an equal opportunity person. I don't like anyone. I think that's hysterical. And I love that. Anyway, let's keep going here. What else do I got for you? We have 2 stories regarding like peace talks. I'm not going to read them both. I'll just read the titles of them. U.S. and Russia agree to resume high-level military talks. There's a lot going on around the narrative of their START treaty, the nuclear arms treaty expiring, but they're renegotiating things and they're set to meet again. Then also the U.S.-Iran nuclear talks are back on after regional pressure. All it takes is a little pressure from the region and we'll get that peace deal going again. So I don't know. I'm not really like super closely following those narratives like Ghost is, mainly because I'm so sick of the reruns. It's just a rerun. Until something jolts us out of the cycle, it's going to be, we're really close to a deal. Somebody's going to disagree and it's going to throw the whole thing off. Then we start all the way over again. Trump finalized, this is a new story. I haven't seen this yet. Let's read it. Trump finalizes a civil service overhaul, weakening job protections and changing whistleblower rules. Trump administration finalized a major overhaul of the federal civil service on Thursday, giving the president the power to hire and fire roughly 50,000 career employees and shifting how whistleblower complaints are handled. The Office of Personnel Management said agencies will now manage protections for employees who report wrongdoing instead of relying on the independent Office of the Special Counsel. The changes, the largest to U.S. civil service rules in over a century, fulfill Trump's longstanding plan to strip career protections from workers deemed to be influencing government policy. The administration will decide which positions lose their job security, reviving a concept called Schedule F from Trump's first term. I think that's great. I love that. I want a total reduction in government force. So anything that gets us closer to that is good news in my book. We also have this. The Supreme Court allows California's new congressional map to stand. Supreme Court on Wednesday declined to block California's newly adopted congressional map, clearing the state to use the revised district lines for most of its 52 House seats in this year's midterm elections. The decision leaves in place a map expected to net Democrats up to 5 additional seats. How disappointing. Republican plaintiffs had sought emergency relief, requiring California to revert to its 2021 commission-drawn map. Justice Samuel Alito, joined by Justices Clarence Thomas and Neil Gorsuch, wrote that politics, not race, drove redistricting decisions in both California and Texas, describing the effort as partisan advantage, pure and simple. That must have been the dissent. Big fan of Thomas and Gorsuch. We have this. Trump administration is ordering a clawback of $1.5 billion in funding from blue states. Love it. Love OMB Director Vaught. It's good stuff. They sure are crying a lot, says Bubba V. Bird. Ramon 222, the congressional maps are fabricated. Agreed. Arsha's knee 8 says, interesting. Hope Republicans use this as precedent to do the same. But that's the thing. That's the thing. That's like a paradigm of, these two are opposing. They're not. It's the uniparty. They'll get what they want all over the place. It doesn't matter. These are theatrics to the real issue of all these people actually being on the same side, and that is the anti-American side. They are against us, all of it. And we're sitting here bickering over how many seats they get in California when it doesn't matter. Even if it was net 5 Republican seats, if we don't fix our elections, it doesn't matter because the people that get in there are still uniparty through and through. El Quady says, I'm ready for gerrymandering to also be illegal. My town got gerrymandered into an adjacent county because we always went red. Yep. Gerrymandering is such a funny word, too. Let's talk about maybe talk about this. I think this is the link here. I just want to give a little update on the DNI stuff. I probably could have got to this sooner, but kind of forgot. But Senator Tom Cotton finally reviewed the whistleblower complaint against DNI Tulsi Gabbard, and this is what he had to say about it. I have reviewed this whistleblower complaint and the Inspector General handling of it. I agree with both Inspectors General who have evaluated the matter. The complaint is not credible, and the Inspectors General and the DNI took the necessary steps to ensure that the material has handled and transmitted appropriately in accordance with the law. I think that's supposed to be a was. To be frank, it seems like just another effort by the president's critics in and out of government to undermine policies that they don't like. It's definitely not credible allegations of waste, fraud, and abuse. They are trying to get rid of Tulsi. That's what this is. And I think the Democrats are about to do something too, because there's a story out, or this post by Mark Zaid. I think this is the attorney, if I'm not mistaken. This is the whistleblower attorney from Eric Ciaramella or whatever from the first term, which led to the whole impeachment thing. And he's the one representing the whistleblower now. And that's what he said. Interested in revising your posted statement, DNI spokesperson, before relevant members of Congress dispute it publicly. Always better to get ahead of a negative story. Makes it sound like something's coming. And I know this is a post from a couple days ago. And so I wonder if we're about to see more of a public display having to do with this story. But we'll see. We shall see. What are you guys saying in the chat? Oh, John in Connecticut, you set that link. Okay. Maybe we'll play that at the end here. How long is that? 3 minutes. Oh, yeah. We'll play that here at the end. Before the outro. Jerry nattered. When Jerry Nadler drags his ball sack across your face. What are you guys talking about? Let's revisit. Phil Scarborough wants me to play this link, so we'll give it a shot.
We're investigating. We have the best of the best going after this. Election integrity being one of them. We have evidence of how these electronic voting systems have been vulnerable to hackers for a very long time and vulnerable to exploitation to manipulate the results of the votes being cast, which further drives forward your mandate to bring about paper ballots across the country so that voters can have faith in the integrity of our elections. We're investigating. We have the best of the best going.
They're vulnerable, guys. We're going to get some answers on this. Thanks for the link, Phil. I think we're going to get the more context around why she said it the way she did. Washington Post fired like a third of their employees, which is, sucks for them, but couldn't have happened to a worse group of people. So don't really care, but it's notable. Trump berates CNN Caitlin Collins in Oval Office. What? I haven't seen that yet. Let's take a listen. Trump Collins. I've heard about this clip, but I haven't actually watched it yet.
I think it's time now for the country to maybe get onto something else.
But what would you say to people who feel
I want to see if I can find the full clip. It's 27 seconds. Can we find? I hate when people post videos without the full context, but whatever. This will work.
I think it's time now for the country to maybe get onto something else.
But what would you say to people who feel like they haven't gotten justice, Mr. President?
Something that people care about. Yeah, what do you say?
What would you say to the survivors who feel like they haven't gotten
justice? You are
justice?
the worst reporter. No wonder CNN has no ratings because of people like you. She's a young woman. I don't think I've ever seen you smile. I've known you for 10 years. I don't think I've ever seen a smile
Well,
on your
I'm
face.
asking you about survivors.
You know why? You know why you're not smiling? Because you're not telling the truth. And you're a very dishonest organization, and they should be ashamed of you.
Thank you, press. Thank you. Thank you, press. Thank you, press. Let's go. Start moving. Thank you. Thank you. Let's go. Thank you, press. Thank you, press. Keep moving.
I'm so sick of the mainstream media. Like, just, it's so stupid. Whatever happened to the new media thing we were supposed to get? So it's ridiculous. I need to get an opportunity to interview Trump. No, what I'm going to do, I'm going to put together a video, a public request for an interview. I'm going to put it out there. You guys are going to have to help me share it around. This is bullshit. You sit there and you're telling these mainstream media journalists that they're terrible, they're the enemy of the people, yet they're the only ones who ever get access. None of these people are ever actually asking the questions we want to hear. Yeah, Caitlin Collins sucks. There's a big sex scandal kind of rocking. I know this is Will Summer. I just happened to come across it. But the whole Elijah Schaffer thing is so weird. I don't know if you guys have been following any of that. I haven't really. I just kind of caught wind of it recently. But the influencer world is so stupid. And not shocking at all that there's a huge scandal blowing it up right now. And I think that might be all the stories I got. Politico is highlighting Lindsey Graham. So that's stupid. Just checking through the rest of my tabs here. Yeah, I think that's all I got, guys. So anything else? What should we do? Do an AI interview of Trump? Have you tried? I've tried reaching out. But yeah, I'm going to do a little bit, like a minute-long video, public request, because there's no way to get in touch with these people. There's no way to get access to the White House, and they don't actually represent us in any way. They don't ever ask any of the serious questions we want answered. It's all political propaganda. It's all, all these questions are slanted by foreign interests and corporate interests. All these people that are getting access, all the new media, they're all funded by huge donors or whatever. Nobody asking the questions authentically want to know, like, hey, what's going on? What's going on with this? What's going on with this? What's going on with this? It's also political. So I'm gonna do something. We're gonna try to get in there, but I'm gonna need your guys' help to share it around. When I do it, I'll record it after this. But anyway, guys, I think that's all I got. Rumble short video. Yeah, I'll put it on Rumble Shorts. We'll get it out there. I kind of want to play a little bit of this video that John in Connecticut sent over. The salt mines are rich today.
Salt is a way of life. The environment down here is all salt. The ceiling's salt, the floor is salt, the walls are salt.
This is great. Great.
Is that Ruth Bader Ginsburg or is it Darth Vader's intern? Something seems sinister since WikiLeaks minding, but fuck the internet. I ain't tired of winning. I'm down to spend a good minute chilling with Minutemen and women, putting Dems in a prison. Is that Ruth Bader Ginsburg or is it Lucifer's sister? Something's amiss when the skin.
Okay, this is amazing. I'm going to finish. I just don't want to do it on the show. But I'm going to post this in the chat again for everybody if they want to see it. That is so good. It's called The Salt Mines Are Rich Today. We are definitely using that as an outro on Saturday's Power Hour. But anyway, guys, thanks for tuning in. Do me a favor, hit that thumbs up. I'd greatly appreciate it. Also, if you guys haven't yet, get yourself some soft disclosure. I'm going to play that ad here shortly, and then I'm going to send you over to Ghost, who I think is live on Geopolitics with Ghost. So stay tuned. I'll put out a little video today with my official public request to Trump for an interview. Probably ain't gonna work, but we'll try. We're gonna give it the old college try, see what happens. But thanks everybody. I will see you later. Hit the thumbs up, and I'll be right back here tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern on the Daily Herald. You guys have a great rest of your Thursday. Stay salty, friends.
The following ad is rated M for mature. Soft Disclosure wants you to get naked this Valentine's Day with limited edition his and her bundles that save you 20% off the individual retail prices. Proprietary oil infusions, grass-finished beef tallow, goat's milk from American goats, locally grown herbs and ingredients. Soft Disclosure is putting America First fruits on your skin.
And for these sexy bundles, we've added an all-new boar's haired beard brush and a solid jade gua sha. And the reason I'm here is because Alpha doesn't know how to say these words.
Gusha. His, hers. We need a moment to calm down. Don't hide your skin. Disclose it. Get naked this Valentine's Day with Soft Disclosure. Head over to softdisclosure.com and save 20% off individual retail prices with our his and hers customizable bundles, and use promo code NAKED to save 15% off the rest of the site. These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. Promo code does not apply to bundle discounts.
Let's get started.
That's what she said.
Oh, that's real good.
Why they stopping me? Stopping me.